Clickety clack clack clack.
Yeah, we're starting with the articles, so let's get going. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast. God, what number are we at? 476, I think. Yeah, 476. Western localizers upset over the River City Girls 0 because it offers no options for their translation work they put onto. But I think there is the option. I don't know why that's an issue. But anyway, we're doing two things here. We're going to be looking at the article, which covers a whole bunch of tweets from Bounding into Comics. And then we're going over a video, which is roughly the same topic. So we're going to see how that works out. There's no actual, we're not watching the same screen. Everyone on the panel is doing their own thing right now. And I'm going to be reading it and seeing how the tweets go. And then the video will cover. Uh-oh.
Bomb.
Someone was cooking some fries there.
It's a bomb.
Oh my God, JC, a bomb.
Either that or Whisp has found a new option for his keyboard that tells him they're not typing fast enough. I don't know. Something's going on. Anyway, let's get started with the article. It's a fairly long article. We'll have some tweets to cover, then we'll just skip over the video. Okay, so the Bounding into Comics, Western localizers upset River City Girls 0 offers option for more literal translation, claim their work is being disrespected.
I think it's just one.
Yeah, already I'm thinking, why would your work be disrespected if you're giving gamers the option to do whatever they want with their game? It's
maybe your translation was shit.
Yeah, it's like
it's because they know their translation is garbage and they don't want anyone to find out.
Yeah, it's like giving you more options to turn the subtitles on or off in a video game. Only now you get different subtitles or different text on the screen.
It's like, and it's like we talked about this outside the Smudcast, I think. Lost Odyssey is a great example of different translations inside the game, because you can have English subtitles, so you can have the original Japanese voice lines, and you can have the English dub. You can also have subtitles, Japanese or English, and the English subtitles are in accordance to what the Japanese original is, as what the characters are actually saying. It's a faithful translation. The English dub, however, is completely different, to the point where the characters have different personalities, and there are jokes where there aren't any, because they turned one of the characters that is a bit sarcastic into a complete cartoon relief. Just as one example. And that is those differences in translation is just, the dub is basically a different story almost, with having the characters changed and what they are saying. And so once we found this out when we were playing this, we went to, okay, the voice actors are okay the way they voice act, but we want the actual story, the characters as they were written, intended, made by the creators. So we switched to Japanese and English subtitles.
Right.
Yeah, it's like when back in the day with fan subbing was a massive thing. If the person who was doing the fan sub did a terrible job, no one would watch their stuff, and they'd get reamed over the coals for it.
Right.
But now because these people got jobs at dubbing companies, they don't get in trouble for doing a poor job, which is, you'd think would be the reverse. Where
technically they do.
You'd actually get in trouble by corporate.
Called the racist.
Yeah,
I know, it's hilarious. Like, the internet held these people to more account than the actual companies that are supposed to hold them to account.
Yeah,
it's so stupid.
It's more than just, hey, I'm going to use the French option for my language or the voice acting, if they even have that for a certain video or movie. Now it's giving you more options. I'm thinking this is the future of new media. You're going to be getting more options of pausing and doing what you want with your content, displaying it, resizing it, rescaling it, changing the volume, changing the language, sharing it or streaming it to your TV from your phone. There's all kinds of great options we have with our media and how to control it. So to me, this is just another option. And it's of what do I want to hear and what do I want to see? as the story goes. So maybe there's going to be a goofy, like a comedic version of a super serious, like I don't know, the creators throw in their own special scenes at the end, like when we have a DVD with all the extras. Like maybe they'll start doing their own acting. Like that'd be fun. I would love to see.
I mean, especially on a lot of old DVD sets, they would just include the bloopers, and that's what everyone loved to see was all the actors just being goofy over the lines. That's,
right. Yeah.
They used to add it, and then they stopped doing that.
That's what people
or like with Pixar in the credits of all the older Pixar movies.
Yeah.
All the stuff that they were animating with them just being goofballs was generally bloopers.
Yeah, and
for the recording sessions.
I remember some of the DVDs for some of Schwarzenegger movies. People were telling me that he's just sort of talking and describing everything in the scene that you're seeing. It's just Arnold talking. Like, here's why I pick up the gun, and I shoot the guy in the head, and then I run over here and I pick up the knife and I stab him. It's like, yeah, we can see that, Arnold.
I think it was like in Lion King 1.5. They actually went back and reanimated old recording from Lion King 1 for a blooper reel. So there's tons of blooper reels from Lion King 1 that they animated for the first time in like the mid 2000s.
Oh.
And like it's just like James Earl Jones doing
1.5?
I think for 1.5, yeah. And it's like James Earl Jones doing a bunch of vocal exercises to get ready as Mufasa. And it's just hilarious watching Mufasa do all this. And it's fully animated too. It's not just like an animatic.
Yeah.
Like, they put effort into it. Weirdly, it's funny.
Yeah, I think that's a great option for gamers or video watchers or any fans. They want it. They want all the content. They want to experience everything there is. Like I was laughing my ass off when I heard some of those French translations of Mass Effect. They were just, the tone was I'm like, what is going on? Is this a farce? So it was funny to hear a lot of.
Oh, no, you need to listen to the German ones.
I know I don't. No.
Yes, you do. It is so horrible. It is so
one game that has like Final Fantasy 14, like they have dubs, like language dubs for every single major language that they're for the regions they're in, like German, French, English. I think they have a Cantonese one, but that's on a different build. Like you can't even access it outside of China.
Oh.
They've got a Korean voice, but their dub is extremely accurate. Like, it doesn't change region to region. Like, you're going to get the story that they're trying to tell, no matter they don't just let the localizers go nuts. Well, they do, but it's equivalent across the board.
Yeah, again, this is all just content that people fans of a thing love, and if they could say, hey, you know what? Creator, we don't like your initial translation. The creator or the producer of the product or the director of the product will say, okay, we're doing it again because the fans don't like it, and this is why we're making money. So they're just going to spend the extra 2 weeks, hire another team or ask the team to just do a literal translation, and they'll throw that in there. And I see nothing wrong with just adding a new text track or if they want to go the extra effort and hire another dubbing team. Great. You're doing what the fans want. That's all it comes down to. So good for them. Anyway.
What I love is there were some. I can't remember what studio it was. Like they were asked if they were going to change any of their stuff for the Western audiences, or because the dubbing companies wanted them to change it, and they're like, "No, we can just release it online, and they can watch. And if the fans want to watch it, they can watch it." Oh. Like Japanese anime companies are finding out or are realizing, "Oh, we don't need these dubbing companies anymore."
Yeah.
We just need to hire a translator.
Pretty much. Okay.
And there's so many good fans available for that that do this in their free time, and they're doing it so much better than the official companies.
You know what? Honestly, I miss as an aesthetic the old early anime dubs where the translator would just like have fun with how they animate the subtitles.
Oh,
especially like for like shonen stuff, like for One Piece, like all the special attacks, they just do all the like visual flair for the subtitles when they were calling out their attacks, or like Pokemon did it too.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's but that is that takes very, very special love for the product.
Oh, I'm sure it did, and I applaud all of them who did it.
Usually, some fan subgroups have special subbers for the opening and endings, because they put so much more work into that they have special fonts with annotations, do several versions of it, so that it's the original Japanese, and then it's the readable in our letters, and to sing along like a karaoke where the text slowly changes color, and great. They take a lot of effort and put them in different places on the screen where it fits better, translate signs in the in the episodes themselves. That is real effort that you rarely, if ever, see from professional companies.
Yeah, like there's so many times where Funimation will just refuse to translate text on a screen, like that's in the middle of like a phone screen or like a piece of paper. They will refuse to translate that when it's in the middle of the scene for some bizarre reason. And I can read hiragana and katakana to an extent. I can't read kanji. And most of the time, especially for stuff like that, it's kanji, because kanji is a shorthand for hiragana and katakana. That's what it's mostly used for.
Yeah.
But most games will have a combination of both, because they understand, especially younger kids' games, because they understand kids can't read kanji, but the parents can, and the older players can.
Yeah. When I watched Das Boot with some friends, I also translated the letters that were on the screen, that were not read aloud. And there's so much more detail they put into creating these props. It's amazing.
You should have found like a fan sub for Das Boot instead of the official one. There has to be someone dedicated enough to like make a good sub for that.
Yeah, and for the next time I'll watch Das Boot with friends, I want to go over the subtitles and correct them a bit, because in some parts there's just nuance left. They're mostly okay, but there's a lot of nuance that gets left out. And then there is 2 lines that are just completely wrong. The characters say something, and the subtitles are something not completely different, but exaggerated that it borders on propaganda, and basically, or rather, is, because it's an epiphany moment of the character. But no, it's not. In the subtitles, it seems like it's an epiphany moment where he wakes up from the National Socialist ideology and realizes that it's all bullshit. That's not what happens. The whole crew, or at least the older crew, is already not on board with it, as most of the Navy, as was the case for most of the German Navy. But they are military, so they follow orders. You don't need to like the orders that you follow when you're in the military. And they're just 2 old guys of the crew, letting out their frustrations finally, because they don't give a shit anymore, because they're about to die. That's what really happens there. They're not having epiphanies. But a positive example of a dub would be the German translations, German dubs of the Asterix movies that are, as I learned recently, are relatively unknown in America. It is absolutely sad. And I'm currently writing rewriting the subtitles from scratch for Operation Mania, which is what I think is the best of the Asterix movies by far. And because I can't find, there are 2 English dubs of it, a British one and an American one, and it is almost impossible to find the English one at this point, the British one, which was okay-ish as far as I've been told, the bits and pieces I could see of it. But the US one is a complete massacre of the movie, where they added a narrator that doesn't exist in the original. Everything is just silly puns. There's basically no silence in the movie. The original movie is very silent, it's solemn. There is a dreary form of peace about it. It's not a cartoonish slapstick comedy as maybe they thought the US audience needs, where everything that's on the screen needs to be explained as well, because the United States thinks its citizens are so dumb that you need to explain everything. Well, in the original, it is a very, very nice tragicomic. So it's a tragedy and comedy at the same time. Nice old Greek model, and that makes it has these funny moments. It has a few jokes in them, but it is, after all, still a very serious movie, despite a few cartoonish slapstick moments where the Gaul with the magic potion beats up a bunch of Roman soldiers. Those are always the slapstick moments. That's the comedy.
All right.
The basic comedy. What is different, what I noticed, is the original French thing is great. However, and especially the soundscape is amazing in that movie. But it's a bit devoid at the same time. What the German dub did was expand a little bit on the soundscape. Like when the druid goes insane and starts laughing like mad, in the German one, he keeps laughing throughout the entire scene of the other villagers trying to help him, trying to reason with him, wondering if they can get him back to recall his memory. The French one, he's just laughing insane at the beginning, and then the others are talking. The German one, he is insanely cackling like on an LSD trip the entire time everyone tries to talk with him. This is basically the changes that the German dub made at large. It's like the characters are just a little bit more deep. They're not changed. It all fits into what's going on, and that is how you could even improve on something, maybe.
All right.
But that's as far as you could go, I think.
Okay, let's continue or start with the article. It's usually just a bunch of tweets, but we'll see what is this? Spencer Bakuli has to say. This came out 2 weeks ago, pretty much. Okay, cool. Now, you guys, obviously, you could follow along on your own, read as you go.
I am.
All right, great. So, in what may be the most ironic outrage in recent times, a number of Western video game localizers have taken issue with the River City Girls Zero's inclusion of a more literal English translation alongside one which takes more creative liberties, claiming that such an option disrespects their work. All right.
Not necessarily.
This is the joke here, because this is beyond projection. This is projection that already turns into gaslighting. Because if anything is disrespectful of the original creator's work, it is the translation that takes, in quotation marks, more creative liberties.
Well, this is no different than, let's say, the pâtissier who makes a cake and no one buys it. They have to throw it out. They feel like, oh, I wasted all my time. It's like, you still got paid. You did your job. No one's blaming you for doing something wrong. Just no one likes it. No one wanted it. That's fine.
Yeah, but it's more the
life.
case.
In this case, the guy did get paid.
Yeah, it's the thing is they want to force you. They want to force feed you this, and you can't say no. Yeah. So when you say no and go somewhere else, then they demand that you be forced to come back to them. That's the problem with this.
Yeah, and this becomes a problem when the translation, with more creative liberties, turns out to be ideologically possessed. When it warps the content in a way that we've seen in previous Smudcasts. We've seen examples of this. There was this Mega Man game that had, I think it was a Mega Man. No, it wasn't. It was a Mega Man-like game. I don't remember the title. That had in its original release, in the original localization, such a shitty translation that it claimed that the first boss or something was an bigender something, and then the narrator used Xig pronouns or some bullshit.
Oh, right.
And in a later translation of the game on another platform, when it was re-released, they made a new English dub sub that did not have this nonsense in it.
Well, what I find fascinating is this
is it part of any particular sub-series like Classic X or something like that, or is it more recent?
Oh, it was a Kickstarter thing, I think.
Yeah, because Capcom doesn't, as much as Capcom is getting weird, They haven't gone that far yet.
Well, in this case,
now they're getting weird.
In this
Well,
case,
it's slowly seeping in, especially with Monster Hunter, where they're removing male and female from everything, because because
it all started with Mega Man.
well,
because people don't believe me when I say Monster Hunter is getting ruined by the West because World got popular.
well, in this case, this sort of game is
Because World isn't a Monster Hunter game; it's another game they just didn't want. They were afraid to start a new IP, and they slapped Monster Hunter on it.
Well, it's not the fault of the consumers.
Yes, it is.
Well,
How?
certain consumers.
because the wrong type of consumer pushed for those changes.
But those are not
game journey.
Those are not the actual consumers. They pretend to be, and then Japan thinks, oh, those loud voices must be what the West is really thinking. Let's change the games. Oh, why is the West not buying the games anymore? That is weird. We thought we listened to the Western audience.
In the defense of the consumers, Capcom has always been that way.
Well, for the games like Monster Hunter, those are bigger, huge, popular games. A game like this, which has 8-bit style artwork and very niche to the genre, you're getting a very small group of people who just want this sort of game, and then you're getting the creators or the localizers of that game who just were paid whatever from the original creators of the game, saying, "Okay, yeah, do your job." And then just do another one because people want something else. And it's kind of like if you're on a Kickstarter, it's kind of like the reach goals or the stretch goals, where it's like, okay, you get the Italian translation or whatever. And in this case, they said, well, we want a literal one because it didn't turn out too good. So
yeah, but look, in the case of having hired, and maybe you didn't know when you were hiring the person, that you're getting an activist to create some activist crap, and you have these time constraints because you need to release. The activist crap will destroy your game, or and the activist doesn't care whether it's this big thing that reaches millions of people or whether it's this little niche thing. The activist only cares that it's something, because the activist has understood that +1 is always one more, is what gets his or her ideology, his bullshit further and influences some kids, some people. It doesn't need to be millions at once. He wants that, of course, but the activist just works everywhere. We see them as very lazy on the one hand, but in regards to pushing the ideology, they're very hard workers.
All right. Here is White Knight Leo for the $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. I had a very hard time getting someone to understand this issue. They eventually asked me, why do I care? I said, I want the author's work, not randos. That's pretty straightforward.
There's only two types of translations I accept. One is ghost stories, where it's just completely off the wall, but everyone knows it's off the wall for a point. And then the proper translation. There's no in between for me.
All right, let's keep going. A remastered port of the fourth game in the long-running Kunio-kun beat-em-up series, developed by WayForward, River City Girls 0, follows the story of Kunio and Riki, two high school students with a penchant for brawling, who find themselves framed for a hit-and-run accident they did not commit. Oh, breaking out of prison.
WayForward is a good studio.
Yeah? Okay, cool.
They make Shantae games.
Oh, breaking out of prison, Kunio and Riki set out to fight and kick their way to the truth behind the frame job, enlisting their girlfriends Misako and Ryoko, the titular River City girls, to join the fight along the way. I didn't know you could get people in prison for that age. That must have been a hell of a crime. Holy jeez.
Well, it's a Japanese fantasy world. Everything is possible.
Yeah.
It's Japan.
Why not? I can go to Japanese
Every girl
prison.
wears mini skirts. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you scroll back up in the first image, the characters are in the stereotypical striped prisoner outfit anyway, so...
Yeah, I know. Okay, aside from providing background on the River City Girls to players who have come to know the franchise through their eponymous title, River City Girls 0 also marks the first time this particular title, the new hot-blooded tough guy, the Elegy of Kunio and Co., has been released outside of Japan in any form. Additionally, as confirmed by WayForward on the day of the game's release, River City Girls 0 also features two separate English translations, a new translation, which has the characters speak a bit more like they did in River City Girls 1, and a literal one that provides as direct a translation as possible. So to me, this is a non-issue. You can do either or. It's up to the player. Case closed. Who cares?
Yeah, like I can accept this because I thought originally the issue comes from that, like there are so many cultural differences that you need like someone who doesn't just only translate the text itself, but also like finds a appropriate reference so Westerners can relate to that.
Yeah, grammatic
Yeah,
issue.
There might be like some cultural references for the Japanese text that like they will probably resonate with them, but if like a random Westerner 8,000 miles away are reading it, they have absolutely no idea what they referenced there.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that like making that translation. That's what a good translator is supposed to do. The problem is these activists don't do that. They hide behind saying they're doing that, and they just put in a bunch of random leftist crap as opposed to actually
just
translating.
like dubbing companies.
Yes, like especially with Japanese, there's lots of times they'll use wordplay because a lot of words sound very similar to each other, and just enunciating it in a different way will be the same thing. Will be a different word.
Oh yeah,
puns are the bane of every translator.
So many puns, even the written ones. They do puns on the words. My name is spelled like this. It means this and that. You're like, oh, that's supposed to be a joke? Is that?
Because the symbol looks similar to the other symbol,
which makes
it's completely different.
If you cut the word in half, or you say the whole name together,
right.
It's a different word. So yeah, it's a
visual pun.
Right.
I can understand, but you can also translate that type of humor like somewhat easily.
I wouldn't say easily. You need to find something that works similarly, but is also not distorting any relevant thing in the story. When there are puns that affect that, it gets more difficult. Otherwise, you can sometimes work around that. And what I noticed when I started this translation thing was that, I can translate the German into English, but I can either do it super flat, and then so much nuance gets lost of how the characters act, what they're actually saying, or I can really take effort. And in subtitles, you have much more room to play with. You don't have to abide by lip sync, or I figure out there's this idiom in German, or there's this sentence structure in German that I just can't directly translate into English because English lacks the grammar to convey the same thing with the same words. So I have to play around. I have to learn all the little things and intricacies of the other language I want to translate it in, and then I also notice the intricacies of my own. Like we have some of these magical words that we just add to a sentence, like doch, where that give it a connotation that is more urgency or it is more defiance, and it can mean, depending on context, it can mean 6 different things, depending on where you put it and why. But it's so common in the language that if you never think about it, you never notice you're doing it, you're using it. And translating that into English, in every case where you want to use that connotation, English uses some completely different word or even an entire added small sentence. And in German, it's just this one word that is either in this place or in that place, and that's it. And translation is a nightmare and a puzzle, but a fun one.
All right.
So you need to love this job, and you need to love languages to do it right. If your ideology, your politics are your primary concern, you're a shitty translator, and you should lose your job. And then this is where I would rather take the literal auto translation over your ideologically possessed one as well.
Yeah, because at least I'll understand it better.
At least they're not suddenly talking about the patriarchy. That's the thing.
All right. Okay. Let's keep on going. So these are way forward saying, yes, you have 2 tracks. One is literal and one is the original. So, or just like the original game. Okay, so notably given the change in their personalities in River City Girls, these translations were included to provide players a way to experience the game with either Misako and Ryoko's original personalities of their updated characterizations, because if you change the translation, obviously they're going to come across as different characters. Makes sense. Upon this revelation, the number of Western localizers, whose industry is currently known for providing translations which overwrite the author's original intent to inject personal opinions in politics, proceeded to cry foul, claiming that their work was being disrespected. And okay, that's fascinating. I don't know how they're being disrespected just because there's an alternate track, but okay, fine. Taking to this personal Twitter in the wake of the WayForward's announcement, Tales of Arise lead translator Tom James wrote to his followers. That's the latest Tales game, I think. The thing I want to emphasize is, practical reality aside, I don't approach game localization like I'm composing the one true translation that can exist. Fair enough. But that is already, he does, if you don't even have that aim. It's one of these things of the path is the goal. When you just accept, I can't reach the goal anyway, so there's no point in doing it, so I'll just do something else entirely. That is you being fatalistic, nihilistic, and just giving up on the first spot, and just, in this case, justifying your own crap as you crap on the table, and then want everybody to pay for it. Well, so far he's just said that he doesn't go for the perfect one.
Yeah, but you need to aim at that. You need to aim at how do I convey the content of the original in the best way possible so that someone in another language understands it.
Well, I admit you should strive for it, but he has to admit.
For example, he says he doesn't even strive for it. He does not approach a game like that. In the subtitles work, the ones I'm doing right now, and when 20 years ago, God, I'm old, we did some fan translations of manga. The goal always was exactly this, the best translation possible that conveys as much of the original character and intent and what's behind it all. And sometimes you have, idioms, things that are common to your language that you say, sayings that do not exist in the other language because it's a cultural thing. But you can still translate them directly into the other language, and it can still be understood. It will sound a bit off, and you may need to think about it, but you can still do it. Sometimes it's better to go for another idiom that exists in the other language that is equivalent for that. But that's that you can say is a personal choice of which you go with. For example, if you have a very pompous character that talks in a bit more articulate fashion, you can also put an idiom in his mouth that seems a bit out of place, because since he feels so high above everyone else, he could use words that all his underlings wouldn't. And one example would be in the Asterix translation. Is in the German one, the Roman centurion says abluchsen, which is a very German word, which means to lynx something out of someone or from someone. It means to trick someone or steal someone from someone in a very sneaky and intelligent manner, because the lynx is associated with being a sneaky, intelligent animal. So you could still translate that. I think wrangling out something would be the
but I think
direct translation.
I think that's what I'm hoping he's getting at just with that sentence. Problem is he goes on and sort of
but he's not doing that. Right. He's not trying to think about any of that. He just sees translation and he just does his sloppy,
but Smud always has hope for these people.
Yes,
even no matter how painful it is.
Another good example.
He's a protagonist of a video game, Wisp. Come on.
Mark, I know what we have to do. We have to sit Smud down and have him watch the German dub of Mass Effect.
No.
And then his hopes will finally die.
Why would I want to do that?
No.
I don't want to listen to a German Liara. That'd be terrifying.
You think that is bad? Oh, you have no idea.
Okay, well.
They translated the conduit into the pipe.
The pipe. That's
the most
okay.
fiction-sounding quest object in a science fiction story ever.
Yeah.
Whisp, I'll give them this at least. That is the most direct translation I've ever heard.
You can translate conduit in different ways. You don't need to use pipe.
Wouldn't you want them
but
not to use that term? Wouldn't you want them to use a different term?
It's a science fiction setting. You don't call it pipe. Because in German, it sounds like you're talking about a sewer pipe. like a water pipe. That's what it sounds like when you say
I mean, its purpose is kind of the same. Very metaphorical.
Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, but don't please.
In Final Fantasy XIV, another good example of like what Wisp is saying of like making something make sense. There's a character named Urianger. He, in Japanese, tends to speak in a much older dialect, like older, more...
archaic,
more like he speaks. He says very long sentences to say a very small thing. In English, he speaks in Shakespearean,
and that
like
fits.
They do that a lot.
Yeah, and it's a very
you can do
it's
that.
It's a very good, like, you know, the reader or player understands. Okay, he's a very verbose motherfucker.
Yeah, they do that a lot in Final Fantasy.
Shakespearean is invented, but it gets the point across at least.
But what's funny is he's the only one that does it too. There's no one else in the no one else in the game does it. It's only him, and people point out the fact that he does it, and they're like, "Why does he talk like that?" And everyone's like, "Yeah." And then of course all your friends in the friend group you're in with him just kind of go, "Yeah, whatever." Like,
what the hell's this old coot saying?
And
he's not that old. He's like 20 something.
And even bigger bane of translation are characters that always talk in rhymes, because then if you take that seriously, you have to get the content across and make it rhyme.
Actually, I misspoke. The only other characters in the game that speak like him are the dragons, but the dragons are also thousands of years old, so of course they're going to speak like that.
Oh, is he a dragon poser?
Well, no. This is what they have done in even Final Fantasy 12, or what was the one with it was like an MMO for single player with Vosh.
12.
And
12,
yeah. Like they gave these voice actors, okay, just do British accents and run with that. They were a bit over the top, but it wasn't too much. Like they just did just enough to believe it.
It's not Xenoblade Chronicles.
No.
Hey, it was better than 10.
Oh yeah.
10 was, oh god, yeah.
No, to put it bad on purpose. The laughing is bad on purpose.
No. I'm not saying no. Discounting, not even the laugh. I know the laugh was on purpose. I mean everything else. It was experimental, to say the least.
Yeah, well, anyway, here is Minimundus, Wispy. Tell them about the best German translated movies that ever were made. The Bud Spencer and Terence Hill movies.
Bud Spencer and Terence Hill movies, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I can agree with that.
Fucking hell, those dubs are. We have in Germany we have made T-shirts with Bud Spencer and Terence Hill that read the German word for world cultural inheritance, because we love Bud Spencer and Terence Hill. And those dubs, I've seen the original movies, they're a bit bland, but the German dubs, they're so funny. And not in this American slapstick funny, but just funny. The voice actors are actually acting and having fun. It's great.
You mean the Italian voices weren't good enough for you?
No, they're usually not.
Is this another case of racism?
Oh, right, there's spaghetti with... Oh, fuck, I forgot. I thought... See, we grew up with this false impression that they're American movies.
No.
I know.
They are Italians. Like they look very Italian.
I know.
Too.
So I saw the English dubs then, not the original ones. And the English dubs, they were a bit bland.
Well, yeah, they are.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Space Junk Weltkulturerbe.
This is where he loses me. What you get when you buy my game is my take on that material, but not the take. I don't know what that means. And that gives me the confidence to be creative. So already...
That fucking asshole.
Yeah, already...
Like, it's not his game.
Yeah, well, that's one thing.
See, this is where you see the narcissism.
Okay, but...
He believes it's his game because he farted on it.
Well, sure.
Like, not even abridgers are this like self-absorbed. I mean, I'm sure there's some are, but like even like abridging communities understand that they're remaking and poking fun at this thing. This isn't theirs.
Right. So
yeah, because they're not children. They have kept their childlike wonder and fun and amusement inside of themselves, but they have grown emotionally into adults. This asshole has not grown into an adult.
Well, there is some imagination you need to get from one language to another to create a proper understanding to the audience you're presenting.
No, you can also just shove it into Google Translate and then correct the grammatical errors.
That's a way to do it too. But whether you do it through a machine or you do it through your mind, you have to say the words and write them down and say, does that sound right? And you're like, okay, fine. In this case, he's saying, I have confidence. I need confidence to be creative. It's like, no, you don't. You just have to.
Creative.
Well, that's the thing. Like this is not a creative endeavor. This is a simple. I understand the word. I'm retranslating it into a thing. I'm using my imagination to get a proper word from my vocabulary for this language, and then I say it and I speak it. I write it, and that sounds okay to me. That's the job. Not okay. This scene is completely different, or this scene needs to be modernized, or this scene needs this slang or this term. Like if you want to change the. What was that great son of a bitch line from that time-traveling anime? Like, that's literally from...
Steins Gate?
Steins Gate. Yeah, that's literally from the Japanese version. So it's a Japanese guy trying to sound English. It's just perfect. It sounds hilarious. So...
what was it in... if you remember that show, if you've ever seen that show, Azumanga Daioh?
Yes.
Yeah.
When they encounter an English-speaking person, and so then it's the Japanese voice actors trying to speak English to help this person who is not from Japan find where he needs to go, and they're trying to help him.
How are you? Fine.
How are you?
You.
Yeah, it's extremely English, and it's.
I wish I was a bird.
Yes, and it's just amazing, and I love it. And it's obviously that they're just having fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that same
to hear that is like, all right, this is their take on something they don't understand. So I expect the translator to understand both cultures and both terms and both characters. So if you do want to make, as we were talking about with Final Fantasy XIV, this dude into a Shakespearean era fellow, you have to know what that means suddenly, because then that's the tone or the take you're going to do with other characters of the same type. And in that case of that fellow who's trying to act black or whatever in the Mad Scientist world, that wouldn't work because he's not trying to be black. He's just trying to be American. He doesn't know what that means. So you have to keep that in mind when you translate stuff. There's a lot of characterization you imbue when you use a certain tone in a certain language. So this is what I can respect what he's trying to say, but creativity is not so much what you need to do. All you're doing is pulling from your memory of what a certain culture would sound like, which is what they should be going for anyway. But that's also up to the actor as well if they could do a better job. But the lines are still the lines. You shouldn't flub those. Anyway.
It is when you have characters with certain personalities. It makes a big difference on how you phrase a sentence in the subtitles, because that you can convey with the words alone how somebody is speaking or personality that person has. That is possible. But that requires actual work, care, creativity, knowledge of your own language and the cultures that speak it.
Yep.
Right. So I talk about Steve Blum here and there. He's the guy for Spike Spiegel, and that works out because he doesn't have to do much. Spike is kind of droll and nuanced. He's just sort of chill. And if you keep that tone, you're pretty cool. You've got it. Spike is okay. You don't overact. You don't get emotional. You don't do too much. So you can get away with a little bit of inflection, a little bit of bass as you say your lines, because the lines are simple in most cases. In that show, not every show. That's why Bebop is so great. It just works well, very subtly. So here we continue. He has more tweets, because of course he does. In practice, many of my localizations exist in isolation, but not all. Okay. I don't talk about it often, but I get that with Amagami, the game, my LP isn't the only translation folks can experience or will in the future. That's okay. Neither takes away the ability for the other to exist.
Okay, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. Because if you only have this one translation in the game, that doesn't mean if you want another translation, you have to buy another release of the game. People normally don't do this. This is not a straw man. What's the word? It's a mist candle.
And even sometimes some companies will just re-release. If like you already own the game, they'll just give you the language pack as a download. It's just a free update. Like I know there are some, especially smaller companies, they'll just if they do this, they just give you the free update with the language pack. They don't force you to buy a whole new game unless the whole new game has more stuff in it.
Yeah, unless you have like a Kickstarter, then they'll have a specific goal because the people say, "Hey, I'm from Italy. I want an Italy translation." Then you have like 100 other people saying that, and they'll say, "Hey, okay, the extra 10 grand will hire an Italian translation team." It's like, sure, cool. Why not?
Yeah, look, this is here he's contradicting himself to his point previously. Because when the game is released with 2 translations,
yeah, exactly.
One is his, then that doesn't take away either. It doesn't take away from the ability for the other to exist.
Yeah, I think
sentence either. But he says this here to sound more diplomatic and approachable and sensible, because this actually is sensible. But his actual stance isn't.
Well, if he was specific,
this is a trick he's manipulating here.
If he was specific to the translation being the same language, then he might have a problem, because it sounds like he's implying there are other languages, and that's fine. It's like, okay, yeah, but what if there's another one that's just like English? What's wrong with that? How is that any different? So he's not being specific.
So much bullshit.
If Namco were to email me 10 years from now and be like, "Tom, you and your team's previous localization of Tales of Arise bricks the PlayStation 6. Okay. We have to do it all.
That is very interesting. I'd never heard something like that.
Yeah, that's bizarre. We have to do it all from scratch.
It's a hypothetical run with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
Yeah, there's no way text file is going to.
It's just insert reason for why we need you.
Yeah,
we need you.
I wouldn't be broken up about it because my old work would still exist. That's
but it still does when you have the other when you have the dual translation option. You fucking ass cunt.
But even then, if you discover the work you did for whatever reason breaks a piece of software, I'd be like, oh shit, I got to fix that now.
Yeah, but that point is really irrelevant. It's just an insert reason here why they contact me again to do the translation again. It could be any other reason. This is what example he uses here is irrelevant, and that's probably also why it's a completely blown out of proportion one.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. I would still if this was a case for me, I find out the new platform of Windows doesn't work with my software, I'd be like, oh shit, let's get on that. Let's fix that. I would personally want to do that if it was me. In this case, he'd be like, well, for 10 years it was fine, and I'm okay with that. It's like, all right, fair. He then lamented, but for me to have a career, for companies to trust me with their games and demonstrate that trust has been repaid previously, that work I do needs to be singular for that release. Why?
No, that's bullshit.
I don't understand that. I need a publisher to show my product is sellable on its own merits and that they have my back. That doesn't make too much sense unless you're talking about job security and you have a relationship with a producer.
This fucking asshole. You can say that your translation is a product.
Sure.
But what we really see here is, yes, the publisher is not trusting you because your product is shit.
Well,
and you demand from the publisher to only use your product, then the publisher may think like, maybe we just don't take him in the first place.
Well, this is only
because his product is shit. Because
we're
already at the point where we rather include this mechanic translation.
Well, this is specific to smaller budget titles where they just need 1 or 2 languages, and in bigger titles they just do everything. So that's where we get quality control issues of voice acting for games that have voice acting. In this case, it's a small. I don't know how big the budget of this game is. It looks pretty simple.
What he's doing here is he's demanding trust, even when he sees it as a sign of the company not trusting him.
Yeah.
But he doesn't see that, which I would say is true. But he doesn't see that as a reason to improve the quality of his work, which is leave out the bullshit. He sees that as, no, you have to trust me because guilt, then comes the guilt trip. If you don't, other companies won't give me jobs to do for me to allow me to do the same sloppy bullshit that may or may not be ideologically possessed.
And compare
this is a gaslighting, projecting, guilt tripping asshole.
Well,
do not give him jobs.
Just compare this to
get someone else.
Music, where it's highly competitive. If you can get a cheaper guy to make a certain genre of music, which sounds pretty good, if not sometimes better, for a cheaper price, you're going to go with that guy 100%. There's no like, yeah, we hired you before, but we like this guy better because it's cheaper, because it's better, because it's faster. Like there's all these reasons.
It's not just about cheaper. It's not just about cheaper.
Well, in most cases, you don't have to.
If you go too cheap, you don't have a product that anyone's going to buy.
Well, in most cases, when you're talking about making a sequel, or you keep the old team because it worked. So you say, this works. I got 40% return. I don't need to worry about these guys. They're going to do it again for me, if not better, because people want it. That's why we make a sequel. So, okay. But if I go, well, this guy over here is world renowned, or I heard his track and it's even better, I'm going to hire him just for that track, or I'm going to hire this guy. I think they pulled that bullshit in Mass Effect 3. They hired some Hollywood musician just to have the piano theme, and it's like, oh, so he's doing the score? No, he's just doing that one song or 2 songs, and then they get the old guys to do the rest of the music for Mass Effect 2. You're like, okay, that was weird, just to get a name in the credits to hype up the game. So, but with smaller titles, it's like, yeah, we don't need you because this guy's cheaper and just as good for music or localization or whatever. So it's competitive. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. For mixed media or new media, you got to be good, and you got to give what your producers want as soon as they want it for whatever price they're paying. So I've done this before because I've helped build games from small companies and things like that. So it's highly competitive. When you go to a board and put job postings, you get all kinds of crazy artists and programmers, and you got to figure that out. And you feel good when you're with a confident programmer, because they are the meat and potatoes of your entire production. But when it comes to artists, it's like I can hire whomever to do music and sound, and I could do it myself, but it's easier to hire someone. So you have to be perfect. That's how it works in media. If it doesn't look perfect, then you get someone else. Sadly. Whatever happens after the fact is a separate conversation. As long as that work is tangible and I'm credited, that's what counts. Sure, fine, your credits. How could a translator like me demonstrate my insight and creative autonomy is worth paying for if it has to compete with itself in its own release? That's not... Okay.
What the fucking retard.
If you have a language option and a subtitle option in your game, that has nothing to do with competition. That's just giving features to the user. They're not going to see like, I wonder who did the French translation. Maybe I should listen to that with subtitles.
Oh my god, the French translation
with the way
of
these
Whisp
people,
of the North Star. It's hilarious. they made it into a parody.
Keep changing the dubs. People are just going to go, look at the person who's doing the translator from now on and be like, yeah, no, not going
to take anything from that creator. That studio.
It's going to turn into, oh wow, I'm not going to watch anything by that director or that writer because it's awful.
Yeah, and we've seen that with products.
What he's saying here.
from Japan.
Is the opposite of what he's saying here is true. He complains, how could a translator like me demonstrate my insight and creative autonomy if it has to compete with itself in its own release? No, it is. Due to it competing with the other translation in its own release, it could show that it could demonstrate your very insight and creative autonomy bullshit. But you are afraid that you are losing against that literal translation, or authentic or direct translation. That is your problem. You're fearing that you are losing out. This is a complete obfuscation here.
I remember, was it Valkyria Chronicles, and even recently the remake of Final Fantasy VII. You could turn on Japanese voice, and a lot of people who, for whatever reason, prefer that and have English subtitles. It's pretty known for people that I talk to who play these games to do that because it sounds better, even if they can't understand it.
In like another, going to use 14 for an example here, the 2.0 dub for A Realm Reborn when the game first relaunched was not great, and I could not stand listening to English voices. So past 7 years I've been playing that game, I have had the Japanese voices and the English subtitles.
Yeah. More modern titles do that.
They hired relatively new actors at the time, and it was also a rush job.
I know.
So it wasn't great.
Like Persona 5 is an example, because it got so big, they decided to keep adding more content, and that was one of the options, was to have audio and subs of your choosing. So this is becoming a norm, whether this guy likes it or not, and this is going to keep happening. As games
that's
get
a good
bigger.
thing. That's not a bad thing.
That is a good thing. It gives more options to the player to appreciate the game in whatever language, in whatever learning or visual disability or audio disability they have. Accessibility standards are going to keep going up and up and up. So his industry is going to get bigger.
Like, this is the good type of accessibility, not the, we need an easy mode for everyone.
Well, yeah, this is a great time to be a gamer, because the bigger games are going to have all these options for new gamers or people who appreciate translation. So this guy has to compete with everyone. Of course, he's a business. Everyone should be competing with each other anyway. So I don't see what the issue is. How'd you get your job, sir?
The issue is they don't want to compete. They just want to be given.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
and he wants to not be criticized, and in order for that to be possible, he must not be compared to anything.
Yeah, this is when I'm being strict with the reviews that we're doing for the website. It's like, guys, here's the standard. You follow it. If you don't hit it, I'm going to come back to you and say, well, your math is wrong. Your points don't make sense. Your grammar is off. Whatever. Like, we want to have good quality reviews. So if we all agree on a standard and we don't follow it, we're not publishing it. Like, we have to maintain a level of quality so people come to expect the same level as we go from the genre to genre. So that should be the standard for everything. You have a standard that everyone matches or is higher than the typical standard. You say, I'm the highest quality. We spend a lot of time doing that. That's why you're paying us. Here it is. Here's what we consistently do.
Smud, you have standards? How dare you?
I know. I have numbers and maths and images and all this context to talk about. Anyway, let's keep going. Attempting to reassure himself, James concluded his thoughts by opining, again, for many logistical reasons, I don't expect so-called creative versus literal toggles to become a facet of the vast majority of game locations going forward, but I hope it's a choice that more experienced pubs than WF appreciate has grave consequences if handled poorly?
No, Tom, what's going to happen is that we're going to have the correct translation, and then we'll have yours.
Well...
And yours will just be called the fan translation from now on because it's awful.
What's going to happen?
Wait. More experienced publishers than Way Forward. Way Forward is a very experienced publisher. What the hell?
Yeah, the big
he's just throwing out insults because he has no argument.
What a petty asshole! Here you see the mind and the flow of narcissistic reasoning. This is how it goes. Analyze this. Learn the pattern. You will find it again and again with these types of people. I
remember trying to play. I installed and then tried to play it, and then I actually got to play Lost Ark last week. And 70 gig download, it felt like the most expensive mobile South Korean game I've ever played.
But all South Korean games are very, very pay to win heavy, or like extremely like monetized. That's just how gaming is over there, because they still like internet cafes are still a massive thing in Korea.
Oh yeah, it felt very, very well done. But I was like, I played this like 6 years ago, and I don't need 70 gigs worth of assets to make me feel more happy about it. I don't care. So,
yeah. Like I've played tons of those free to play.
Yeah. So but they have like all these language options for everyone, because imagine those games with $100-200 million budget. Like that's what this is. So you're gonna get multiple languages, multiple voice acting, all these options. That's the future of gaming. We're going to get more options for everyone to play the game because they want more people to buy and play their games. So,
like, I will say the one good thing that the whole like global community, like one good side effect is that for games and for products, it lets people who want to interact with products from outside their country actually like consume.
Yeah, and
like. There was no way for me, if in the 70s, to watch the Power Ranger series. There just would be no way, because like the Sentai, there'd be no way to.
Yeah,
just because they would not be translated or brought over. Not the same way.
It's the same with tutorial levels. They're going to get bigger and more robust and more complex, and or simplified but longer, so that people can understand the mechanics. They don't feel like, you imagine people playing Elden Ring, or a journalist not knowing what the hell he's doing. It's like, yep, he's gonna get pissed off.
I mean, considering the tutorial is extremely easy to skip over.
Oh yeah, and because people are used to playing the Souls in a certain way, like go to A to B, and Elden Ring is open world, so it's like, well, maybe you should go over there first and get some levels and get some weapons and whatever. But because they go straight to the first boss, they get destroyed. They think they suck, and they keep trying and trying and trying. They realize, okay, I should put the game down or go somewhere else. So that could be an issue of just what people are expecting and what they're not being told how to help. But that's the nature of those styles of games. They're hardcore. And for casual players, you have to ease them into things, and that's not going to work very well.
Well, so these are the Souls games are expert games. They're not beginner games.
Yeah.
In general, that's all that is. But regarding the topic, Georges Rex put it well in the chat. If you think your translation can't compete with machine translation, you aren't worth hiring in the first place, my fellow. And that is the main problem here. Where was it? Was it Kyogre? No, Criminal. I asked Criminal Imagination in the chat because he played the game. What the creative autonomy of him was, his vision, and Criminal Imagination answered, "The humor reminded me of modern Cartoon Network, too quirky to be funny." And yeah, that is probably far away from what Way Forward imagined it to be. And I would guess that once they got that translation, they thought, okay, we paid the guy, but we'll do a quick direct translation of it, because if we release it with this thing only, it'll make us look like fools. So we put the direct translation in as well. I think this is rather an emergency, an emergency last moment decision to slap this on in order to save the product.
Like, to be in all honesty, a direct translation is an afternoon's worth of work for someone who either you just Google Translate it, or you have someone who speaks both languages. Like, a direct translation is not as difficult as like trying to translate it so it makes sense 100% to the. And this isn't me dismissing,
Yeah, but you're right. A game like that doesn't have that much text.
what I'm seeing here is this is really reminding me of what happened with some voice actors back in like the mid 2000s, where their roles started going to their heads, like Sean Schemmel and Goku, where he wouldn't let people acknowledge that there was Gokus before him. It like really challenged his ego.
Fucking idiot.
Yeah. Like, Sean Schemmel gets really pissed off if you mention any of the Goku voice actors from like the Ocean dub or anything like that.
You know what? I just remembered something. Go ahead and finish your point. I'll say it later.
And that's kind of what I'm seeing here, is that they're getting mad that people are getting another option, because that challenges their job, at least to them.
Apparently.
It's blatant egotism. Egoism? Never know.
All right, let's
egotism. Yeah.
Let's continue. adding her thoughts to the conversation. Former translator. Okay, why are we speaking to former translator? Jennifer O'Donnell asserted people in the localization industry are rightfully upset about this decision because it feeds into myths and misconceptions about video game translation. Okay, what are those?
No, it doesn't. It's not. This is the obfuscation again.
Let's see what she's trying
to... Because these mistranslations have been happening in the insertions. It's not just video games. It is all the other stuff as well.
Let's see what she has to say.
She just wants to hide by saying this. She wants to hide the malicious practice that we know of.
Well, let's just see what she has to say about that, because she was in the industry. So directly translating words can create mistranslations and inaccuracies, sure, because even if the word seems the same, the intended meaning of the source text and or the meaning or interpretation, she's just being technical. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not...
Yeah, but this is the excuse, like Whisp brought up, that they hide behind.
With literal translations, meaning and characterization is lost sometimes. The majority of major studio translations try to maintain the overall tone of the world and personalities of individual characters, translating it so the game writing is as entertaining as the source. All right.
That's what good translators would do.
Yeah, nothing here is wrong.
That's what I was talking about when I was explaining how I'm going at this Asterix translation. That's what I want, and this is what would be aiming for that dreadful one true translation. These are the principles that you work on to achieve. But this asshole that we've read before is not doing that.
Here's a rather fun take she finished off on, which is a little ironic. Awkward, which often come from being literal or direct translations, undermine game writing too. If I wrote a beautiful, amazing text for a game only to have it butchered in another language with direct, awkward wording, I'd be upset. You're like, okay, literal translation.
I mean, what these translators are doing right now, and Japanese companies are rightfully getting ticked off at them changing nearly as much as they are.
Yeah, there's one
They're
thing...
just deciding to outright not work with these companies anymore.
Yeah, it's one thing to do a literal translation which doesn't have any characterization. It's just sort of words. And then you have a mischaracterization. Well, then you have a mischaracterization. What I'm trying to say is they have a mischaracterization on the other end where you get a different characterization than what's intended to. So it's like our way is our own creativity way, but literal doesn't work either. So it's like, okay, then you have to do something in between.
Yeah, but this just means that if people prefer the awkward literal translation over yours, then that speaks volumes of how bad your work has been. Because your work then had the opposite effect of what it should have when people rather go for the literal translation.
We get that in manga all the time, where the literal translation sounds awkward, but then you notice if there's another translation which is the same manga, and they try to like have some American slang or whatever term.
That makes it worse. It usually just makes it worse.
Yeah, it mischaracterizes the whatever Nadeshiko.
It sounds
female.
like it's like reading the hey fellow kids meme all over again. Every time, every speech bubble. It's like, ugh, go away.
I can't tell you how many times I've been reading a manga and I've been like, oh wow, this translation is just really fucked, and I'll,
I can
switch to another website.
And over
Especially
time,
when
I can
people who are
rather
reading
get an idea of I get an idea of how the Japanese language works, and thereby accept the wording and get a feeling for what does it mean in this context. Like it blends in with in a way with hearing different accents of people speaking German, because they sound so bloody different that some sound really awkward when you didn't grow up with it. What did you say? That sounds weird. That sounds stupid. Why do you say it like that?
So here
you grow up with it.
Here we have another translator, Kevin Frayne. I have no idea. From the Shibuya Scramble in the first 3 Yakuza games declared, I clicked on this thinking, I wonder how many people who aren't translators are going to bitch about the use of creative here. And it was basically the entire thread. Yeah, because you don't need to be creative. You need to be understanding.
Well, no, because we know what they mean by creative means we're going to rewrite things that we find problematic, that aren't problematic.
Creative here is just an excuse to rewrite the content entirely and make it into something that it is not.
These are people who want to be abridgers and are too terrified to write their own thing, or want to create their own thing but are too terrified to do it themselves because they don't want to get criticized, so they hide behind it.
That might actually be giving them a little bit too much credit. I think they want to own the thing so that they can put their messages on it.
Well, here's a great tweet that reveals where his brain is, and it's just hilarious because now we finally see where he's coming from. So here's a fan, and he's replying to this fan, but the fan, they said, because the creativity usually sucks, nobody wants to hear the translator's attempt at comedy or their political opinions. People want to know what the original said. And this is him replying to that. I want to see a list of all these games supposedly infected by the translator's personal politics epidemic. For as much as I hear alt-right gamers drop this accusation, I've literally never seen it in person, which I realize probably means it's BS like most alt-right nonsense. But
this shows this shows us that this guy is so blinded by these socialist politics that people in his profession put in that he doesn't even see them. He's so blind to it at this point.
Well, does he not see them, or is he deliberately lying about it?
He's got to be. He's deliberately lying.
Is he?
Because I guarantee you, there's a line of people replying to him, showing him exactly the thing he's asking for to be shown, and he's just ignoring it.
So that would then tell us that this is malicious obfuscation that he's trying to do here.
See,
he's not ignorant or blindsided by it. Then he is malicious.
All right, so here's his Twitter profile: author and translator, Avatar, Turner Novels, blah blah blah. He, him, English, and then Japanese. Okay, so already he's got his profiles in his.
He's got the pronouns. He is one of these bloody idiots who put their politics into everything. And here he's obfuscating, just like this other person before that says, "Oh, but translation is about this writing and keeping amazing text and the characterization and everything." Well, not even checking what the guy she's defending is actually doing, which is not getting the characterization across, but instead rewriting the characters into something they are not.
And here we go with the Twitter arguments. He's already defending mask mandates and all this other nonsense. It's just, every time we see this, we can just deduce every single response on every topic that we're going by.
Yeah, there's a reason why we know these, like when we see pronouns in the bio, it's like, okay, we know who we're dealing with here.
So back when Persona 5 came out, there was this big takedown on the people who did the translation because they're not a part of this clique. So, like, Kotaku published, or was it Polygon? Kotaku or Polygon did an article on it. I was basically, the Persona 5 translation is really bad. And they have this, like, big compilation of all these translation mistakes in air quotes. And,
I know one reason they were pissy with Persona 5 is because they had the whole the cross-dressers in there.
And also the gay guys that try to pick up Ryuji.
Yeah, same thing. That's what I'm talking about. Because they were also dressed. They were gay cross-dressers, if I remember correctly. And they've always had that joke in there.
Okay,
this Japan as a culture have what are they called? They have a very specific name for it. I just can't think of what they're called for cross-dressing, and it's a comedic effect usually. But in One Piece, there's the entire island of them.
Ugh.
All right.
But no, they know it, and they are. It's played up for a joke. It's not like it's not like taken overly seriously. So
yeah, no,
I think of what the word is for them.
I just looked up a picture of the guys, and they're not like cross-dressing, but they're wearing like a dress shirt with hearts on it and a striped sweater that's like purple and blue and red.
So when you go, oh, there.
I don't know what you're talking about right now. I looked up this Kevin Franger and what he did. He has an IMDb page, and it is mostly just localization supervisor for Sonic games.
Somebody that we
sounds like an amazing track record.
Somebody
so
that we
much
covered
text.
Positively. Dimitri Monroe actually has a video on that article I was talking about that proves it wrong and proves it's pretty much just a malicious takedown of the translation because they're mad that they didn't get to translate it.
Also, you left out a line, Smart, before he wrote, "Kinda glad my translation career is over," of the Sonic games, because we have the most ungrateful fans in the whole goddamn world. He told his followers. They're not ungrateful if your work is shit. Your work is just shit, man.
Yeah, the work.
Well, no, and it's him because the joke with Sonic fans is they hate basically every Sonic game within the past 20 years.
We hate bad
games.
games.
The last 20 years of Sonic has been fucking bad.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. That's also the thing is that a lot of Sonic games have been god awful. So he's equating
not that many, honestly.
Well, he continues with the Twitter user saying because he wants examples of what's a bad translation. The Twitter user says Fire Emblem Fates, and he's like, "That's the Benghazi of online."
He immediately dismisses it.
Yeah, he's like, "It doesn't matter." So then the next one is
a lot of stuff Nintendo puts out is actually pretty horribly translated. I won't defend them on that one. Like
Treehouse was awful.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that Nintendo and I'm surprised that Legends Arceus got the translation that it did because there's just outright oh no, you're going to die if you go out there. They outright say you are going to die in this game. Stuff that you normally don't allow in a Pokemon or Nintendo game.
I have noticed that they've been getting less strict about the darker things in their games, but they've been just as bad with a lot of the bad SJW politics and also jokes.
Right.
Yes. Like I said, I love Nintendo as a publisher because they generally have fun with their games. They don't just follow the same thing.
The last game I played by them that I felt like didn't really have any of that stuff in it was Three Houses, but I just can't think of anything. Maybe somebody who's gone through the other routes might say there's some stuff. The closest thing I can think of is Claude being kind of an open borders person, but that's pretty much it.
All right, so
now they're following the trend of releasing unfinished games.
Yay! Oh. And Kyogil's Hideout in the chat wrote that he was the worst translator the Sonic series had. Okay. I didn't know that was actually an additional reason for these games.
I don't know what games you worked on. Pretty much everything
Sonic games.
Well,
yeah,
which ones though?
Well, the point is that he's looking at this game and saying, "Oh, everyone brings this up." He admits it's bad, but he's also saying it's not germane to the discussion at hand. When you asked for an example, sir, and you're agreeing with the person giving the example.
You're not acknowledging. You're ungrateful for the deliberate distortion of the product that I distorted. Why don't you love the shit I make as I take apart stuff that you love?
Yeah. So the guy keeps replying. The guy keeps quote tweeting him. This is really funny to see people do this because if he has a point, he wants to address it as a new thread. So if localizers were less defensive and more humble and capable of taking criticism, that criticism would in turn come from much less of a resentful place. It's like, thank you. That's what we want.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to go, oh, I suck at my job. Let me get better.
And then this asshole says he's doing it in bad faith.
Yeah. How? How is he doing it? This is what they always say at the end of a discussion or right before they block you. It's like,
You're bad faith.
You're
Discussion
arguing
over.
in
Blocked.
bad faith by answering all my questions with examples. It's like, what? Excuse me? I can't answer your questions properly and have a discussion? No. You're arguing in bad faith. Like, okay. It's one thing to say, I'm from the industry, you're not. I know better than you. It's another thing for him to say, yes, I'm from the industry. Here's an example why you're wrong. And blah, 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 blah. He hasn't done that yet. He's just saying...
him saying, I'm from the industry, I know how, the business side and how that works, but just saying that I'm from the industry...
That just tells me that the industry doesn't work right. That tells me that the industry is broken by design at this point.
Like, that's anything new.
Give them the defense...
Yeah, it's kind of like
it
explaining how to do a dessert with a blowtorch. It's like, yeah, you could use another implement to heat something up, but then you wouldn't caramelize the sugar properly and make it look the way it should and taste the way it should.
We've been seeing this for a long time in American localization, where they just get these clicks and they take control of everything.
Yeah. And he's telling us here that, but that's how the industry works, so you have to like it. And then we fans just say, no, then your industry needs to burn to the fucking ground. We can do without it.
And every
these people don't realize that unlike Hollywood, the game industry actually is held accountable by its user base, by its customer base. Like,
this is
to an extreme degree. You can't just put out crap after crap after crap for years on years and years, and then
as long as the normies eat it, yes.
Because
unless you're EA and you've got an audience of normies to buy FIFA.
In all seriousness, as the gaming industry has evolved, there's been less and less of an excuse.
Yeah. But more and more money to a staggering degree is now made by microtransactions, not by actual game sales, and that is really scary.
Well,
that is mostly the bloody normies that do that.
Anyway,
this is a very, very average tactic to say, to hide behind that we need to be creative because we can't do a direct translation. People aren't asking for a direct translation; they're asking for one that keeps the spirit of the original work. And then they say, "You're arguing in bad faith. Get away from me, block."
Well,
but the direct translation is already closer to the spirit of the original work. If you then can just flesh out that spirit in a good translation by actually knowing how both languages work, that would be good. Well, but that's not what they're doing.
In Digimon, in the third season, Tamers, the one with Guillemon, Renamon, and Terriermon.
Yes.
Terriermon has the little word he says, momentai. That doesn't mean anything. It's just a word that he makes up.
Yeah, not to us.
Yeah, no, like in the real world life, it's just a word. And it was in Japanese, and they moved it over to English, and they didn't try to change it. They just let him say momentai because it doesn't mean anything. But it's like a little like phrase he says just to be like, don't worry about it.
They didn't give it any meaning in the... They just... I
think he, Terriermon himself, gives it a meaning within the context of the universe, but he doesn't... It's not, like, an actual word that means anything in Japanese. It's just a phrase that he uses.
I've already brought up some examples of actually good changes in translations that I've seen from, Fooly Cooly, where, a Japanese soft drink was changed to Crystal Pepsi because they're kind of similar culturally, where they're a limited time.
It's something irrelevant because we know it's playing in Japan. We can keep the Japanese brand in there.
Yeah, it's that's why people make fun of 4Kids so bad for when they try to hide the fact that an anime is Japanese.
One of the reasons
Not
why
just that it is Japanese, but it's playing in actual Japan. Furikuri plays in actual Japan.
One of the reasons I bring up Fooly Cooly is because the actual writer likes the dub better. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
And I do
that does
think
not necessarily mean that he endorses or cares about the change of the product.
Well, let's get back to this wonderful Kevin Frayne for the last time. And he's saying the alt-right acts in bad faith, which is like saying everyone I was just arguing with was alt-right. I'm not going to address your concerns. You're arguing in bad faith.
Yeah, this magical alt-right, which is everyone who disagrees with me and doesn't like what I do.
Yeah.
And we're still looking for them. I don't know where the fucking alt-right even is. Like it's this...
Oh, don't you know?
Gay catboy Nick Fuentes, and that's it or what?
It's all the Canadian truckers. They were all
And with
alt-right.
Nick Fuentes.
This is just his tantrum post to dismiss everybody who gave actual good arguments against him.
All right, so there's more in this article. We're almost done if you want to keep going through it. So here's the way forward, the actual company. We hear you. Literal was a poor word choice and not intended the way it was taken. So in the next River City Girls 0 update and all remaining versions, the 2 English translations will be labeled RCG and original. So, okay, sure, it's the same thing.
Yeah, and which is, by the way, very interesting that you need to change the words in order for the bloody narcissistic fucktwat to understand what was actually meant. It's almost like a bad translation. Ha ha! If anyone gets the irony.
Well,
but this is just.
Well, that was the article.
It's just way forward. There's things they have to do some. What is it called? Damage containment.
Damage control.
Thank you. Damage control. Because of this one fuckwit. They probably expected something like this to happen.
Which is weird because he's not in the industry anymore and he's just trying to, I don't know, argue with people online for no reason. That's a weird thing.
Oh, he's not doing any work anymore?
The other ones were in the industry. I mean, the
One of
Tales
them
of
was,
Arise translator guy was.
Yeah, the other 2 weren't. So it's kind of like, why are you talking? You're useless. You don't do anything. You're another job description. Don't bother with us. Anyway, do you guys want to cover the video? It's very straightforward. It's very similar to this. Same idea. Small.
I mean, how long we've been going for?
We could do it. It's not a big deal.
No, how long have we been going for, though?
We've been going on for, let me see, an hour, almost an
hour and 45 minutes.
Hour and 26 minutes, but yeah.
I don't mind the padding.
All right, we can go. Here is the watch together if you guys want to join. Well,
as if that's ever in question.
If you don't want to do it, we don't have to. It's okay.
I'm kidding. What
is going on?
It's like as if that's ever in question. No, I'm serious. No, seriously, I was kidding.
Okay, so this is a video. Let me just check the credentials here. Where is it?
Nine minutes.
Okay, so this is from Draco Lord Nick 67. Just came out last week, and he is just going to list all the crazy things that's been going on with pretty much our responses. He's the same as us. He's just going to respond to some of these people and other people as well. So we're just going to be nodding our heads pretty much as we go along. And he's a small YouTuber. He's got 3.15 thousand subs. He has some downvotes for some reason. Out of 122 upvotes, there's 17 downvotes. I don't know why.
Yeah, when you make this stuff, you'll probably get a few people who are the Twitter side.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, let's go.
Oh no, heaven forbid you have actual points.
Yeah, desire for quality and taste standards.
River City Girls 0 has recently released on the Nintendo Switch, and it gives players options between literal and local translations. Well, of course, Western localizers are completely upset over the more literal translation option.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? How
Correct
are you
reaction.
all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So River City Girls 0 just recently released on the Nintendo Switch, and if you are a fan of beat-em-up games, then this is a game for you. I think it's a load of fun. It is also a continuation of River City Ransom. And I mean, if you haven't checked this out, do so. It's good. I mean, it really is. But this game has good music by Megan, McDuffie, and Demon Dice. Be sure to check them out. I'll leave a link in the description down below. You can check out the song there. I mean, it's really good. So, River City Girls 0, it actually has given options for both literal or new translations. Which, as I always say, it's always good for gamers to be able to have more options like customization, things of that sort, you know? Good thing for that. It's very good. But of course...
Dude, don't do the echo thing. But I love the headline here. River City River City Girls 0 offers literal or new translation options, sparks outrage.
Yeah,
in one bloody fucking person, which is the fucking bad translator.
It's very clearly meant to make it sound like the fans are the ones getting mad, I think.
No, it's just the one bloody translator. That's the only person who made a fuss over it. And then some other SJW translators joined in. That's all. Fans are not outraged by this. Fans are probably rather happy.
I know, I think they're trying to make it sound like the fans are, though.
They always try to shit on, the customers are just assholes. The customers are horrible. We should never listen to the customers. Okay, then you don't want to sell things, okay?
Okay.
Leave it to the woke bums within the translator community to have a complete
community
and just rage over it. As
it's not a community.
Surprise. Now let's take a look into this. We've learned River City Girls 0 offers literal or new translation options, a new feature that has sparked outrage with certain folks within gaming. You know, the people that are upset over this, yeah, they're the ones who aren't the fans. They're the ones who don't buy the games, you know, or care. Obviously, the activist types, and then, of course, the activist types that work within these companies, right? So, those are the people who are actually having a bitch fit, you know, over nothing. Now, when it comes to localization is usually just kind of kept to things that are untranslatable, like some slang, or tone, or wordplay, right? And it tries to help it make sense. That's typically what localization is used for, so that you can kind of better understand it. Now, these activist types, on the other hand, they want to try to push their agendas in these localizations, and that's the problem that people have when it comes to these localizations. I mean, one example...
Oh yeah, so he said everything right so far. Just Legacy in the chat just said something very profound, which is that the customer is always wrong. And that seems to be the mindset of these SJWs, of these activist types that get into the industry. When the capitalist version is the customer is always right, because we want to make money, so we sell the customer what the customer wants. For the socialist, the customer is always wrong because he doesn't like the ideology. So the customer needs to be taught and formed and brainwashed into wanting the shit. And this is why the stuff doesn't sell. It's the complete opposite of how any market works.
Also, you need to stress the customer is always right. Because a lot of times, we see a lot of companies forget that not all the people complaining are customers. Then they make bad changes, and then their product goes down the sink, and nobody wants it.
Yes. The question is always, is the one complaining or shilling actually a customer? Or is that person a malicious actor from the outside who wants to have an effect on you? Because you could simply, if you were a profit-oriented company that wants to sell a product, and then someone sparks fake outrage in order to change your policy of how you make something, and that leads to you losing sales.
Another thing
that
about
person making the fake outrage was not a customer, was not a fan. That could be some in the easiest scenario, someone from a competitor, a competing company, trying to make you believe that your customers actually want something else in your product that they do not want, and thus make you change your company policy. Like it could be an attack by a competitor. And if companies had any sense, they would try to figure this out. I mean, they make this focus group check crap all the time, where they try to figure out, oh, what do the people actually want? What do they actually like? But in the end, they always capitulate to the socialist activists that don't buy their shit, and the masses who reject the shit. I don't understand what's going on in marketing. It makes no sense. It's like maybe the activists just have taken over marketing first.
Another thing I'm seeing here is that all of this really comes down to insecurity. If they thought that their translations were good, they wouldn't care that there was another option, because they know that the players would choose their translation.
Yeah, because then I would just laugh and think like, yeah, that'll probably be a fun playthrough with the direct translation.
All right.
Can be.
Example is Funimation and anime, where, for example, Funimation dub changed to include "You're such a misogynist" line within its dub.
What?
See, this is one of the biggest problems that I talked about. Now, I talked about this in a full video, back when this came out. And it's buzzwords like this and things like this that can really turn off an audience. Now, let's compare the sub to the dub. Now, this is the sub right here. Wait, boss, you sure know a lot about Shimazu-san. Don't tell me. No way in hell do I want to date that ice queen. Yeah, that's right, but Shimazu-san's nice to everyone else, but she's really mean to you. Ah, Shimazu-san! Hey, milady. Stop calling me that, please. Then how about Mio-chan, the school idol? Why do you make me so mad? Not sure. That time of the month? How crude. Now, that's the sub. This is the dub. Wait a minute. Why do you know so much about Shimazu? Fess up! Calm down. I'd never date that ice queen. That's good to hear. It's kind of weird, though, because she's nice to everybody. It's only you who really seems to set her off. Ah! Shimazu! Hey, so what's up, sweet cheeks? Don't call me that. You know I hate it. Sorry. Do you prefer Queen of the World? I'll never understand how you get under my skin so easily. Good question. Maybe it's that time of the month? Ah! You're such a misogynist! I mean, why is that there? Why is that there? It's like the Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Sub and dub where there's a big difference. Now, this one's one that many people know. What's with that outfit? Everyone was always saying something to me, so I tried toning down the exposure. How is it? You should try changing your body next. Now, the Funimation dub, what are you wearing that for? All those pesky patriarchal societal demands were getting on my nerves, so I changed clothes. Give it a week, they'll be begging you to change back.
Yeah, I really love this one. Because it not just changes the text, it not just inserts politics, it completely changes the is it an internal or external problem, and it changes the character. In the original, it comes through that Toru is jealous of Lukua, of how she looks, of her body. In this bad dub, she is blaming stuff on society and bullshit.
Right.
Not to mention Lukua goes more of a you go girl thing instead of being jealous of her.
Right, and we know that the dragons in this story, they can change certain things, but it's a showcase of their power, their femininity, or whatever you want to call that. So, same with the little girl, I can't remember her name, but that's why she has huge tits. It's because she's so, was it magical?
So she keeps her fire.
Fire power, yeah, something like that. So,
it's to show off their huge fire sacks.
Yes, her dragon powers. Okay.
Her huge tracks of power.
Change back.
You stupid, ignorant son of a bitch, dumb bastard! Jesus Christ, I met some dumb bastards in my time, but you outdo them all. Get over there!
You see, this is why people don't trust a lot of the dubs now. Because you get woke localizers that try to push their agenda into it. And nobody wants to go into their entertainment and hear this shit. They'd prefer it to be the way it's supposed to be intended. And this is stuff that, idiot activists like Jamie the Heifer Markey like to throw into the script. Because they're like, oh, it's localization. The Westerners will understand it better. No, that's not localization. That's pushing an agenda. There's a difference. And then when you criticize them, they attack the fans. They're like, oh, it's not your job, it's our job. You don't know what you're talking about. They always do this stuff. But what I love about River City Girl 0 is that they give an option for a literal translation. The new feature has sparked the debate once more. Generally, the one camp prefers a more literal translation, so...
It's just that these activists are so outraged over it, because this way everyone has the option to, without any effort, to directly compare what the translator has actually done.
Yeah.
And they're afraid of that. They are fucking afraid of it.
It'll showcase the changes that they make, which potentially...
It'll demask them. There's nothing that manipulative people are more afraid of than being unmasked. Whether it's a narcissist, a borderline, a psychopath, they're the most afraid of ever being unmasked.
If they were doing their jobs right, they should love that this is added, because it should show the work that they do. It would show how much work goes into trying to actually localize something. But because it's going to showcase the differences that they do have and show that they're not actually keeping the original spirit of the work, that's why they're mad.
Yeah, when I was doing grammar corrections for people, even today I was doing Mateus's review, I have to try and keep his original words as succinct, as specific as possible, because run-on sentences, little things like that I can correct, but also I can say, okay, well, I could change this entire sentence to mean something else. To maybe that's what he was meaning, because English is not his first language. That's fine. I could always ask him, what did you mean by this? But the structure was simple enough. I could just say, hey, I'll just put a period there. I'll start a new sentence, have a different point. That's fair. I don't need to change the tone.
Almost everyone in the school has proofread somebody else's essay.
Yeah.
So this should be basic skills that almost everyone knows about. Might be a bit rusty because you haven't done it in a while, but most people should generally know this.
Yeah, the other trick is to make it pair up with the timing and how much a block of time you have to have an actor say a line and how they're going to say it. Obviously, an actor will tell you, I couldn't say that fast enough, or I can't get that word right, or how did you expect me to say it? So there's a little back and forth between the producer of the writing and the actual actor. So yeah, there's a little collaboration going, but you wouldn't have to change tone and make it as if it's modern, and these are modern dragons, magical big boob dragons who talk about the patriarchy from when they're coming from magical fantasy lands where they're in control of God knows what. So it's strange.
And one of them is supposed to be kind of an outsider to society anyway, so they shouldn't really know these terms to begin with.
Yeah, they're.
What's so funny is all these old, whenever they have these older, ageless characters that have lived through a millennia, say these very current slang, where it's you realize that the person who's lived longer than this word has existed probably would agree counter to what you're saying that they're saying right now, right?
Yeah, that reminds me of...
No, they can't, because in their minds, nothing has existed before their ideology. And the ideology has, in retrospect, always been the way it is right now.
That reminds me of the...
Even though it changes tomorrow, then it will always have been the way it has been tomorrow.
The Fate Stay Night series, where the reincarnated heroes have the knowledge of the times and all the technology. They could drive bikes or ride bikes. They could drive cars. They could do all these things. And I don't recall hearing the subs, because I never listened to the subs, if there are any, mention anything about politics or terms of the patriarchal systems or this and that. It's all.
I watched the dubs and I don't recall them bringing that up either.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Fate's Day is a dating sim first and foremost. So they're not going to put that crap in a dating sim. The writers know that. They know what people are. They know what people want. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
The entire point of Fate's Day is that's what it started as. So they know their fan base. They're not going to put that in. That would be the death of if they started doing that.
Okay.
This is a welcome change, which I agree. The other camp is angry and claim that the new feature shows users, or even the publisher, don't trust the translator's localized script. I mean, why would they? Would you honestly trust a translator if you know that they're going to come in and they're going to remove parts or they're going to push their narratives? No.
Oh no, we were deceiving everyone for so long that they don't trust us anymore. We need to demand more trust. Demand more trust. Use force if necessary.
No, you wouldn't trust them. If it turns out that this is why the studio did it, I wouldn't be shocked. But, when you look at this, I want to bring up this next part here. This has been an ongoing debate with fans of Japanese games, as many prefer a... Now, I don't know that that's the reason. I'm just saying, if that were to be the reason, then I'd be like, yeah, no, I understand. Entirely. Because when it comes to these activist types, they always lie. These assholes try to jump into people's hobbies, and they try to ruin them. By pushing their, agendas and all their bullshit. I mean, that's what they do. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that in the games. Nobody does. This has been an ongoing debate with fans of Japanese games, as many prefer a literal translation, mostly due to an increasing number of random puns, nonsensical cultural references, and even partisan politics are injected into recent localized scripts. From our initial look at the new translated script, it generally removes some of the meaner words from the original Japanese, like not so nice ways to address females. Colorful language used in prison was also mostly left out to likely avoid the allegory to terrible things. And this is what they do. They censor and remove stuff. Which then, completely goes against the creator's initial idea. I mean, nobody wants that. People want games as they were meant to be. They don't want...
Which, from what I know about River City Ransom, kind of goes against the whole tone of the series, because it's meant to be about delinquents.
Yeah. They're not the nicest fellows in the schoolyard.
they're basically Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
And Kuwabara.
They're rough. They swear. They get into fights. They scream and yell and beat people up. So yeah, you kind of need to get going with the whole vibe of that. And it's kind of like watching Yakuza or playing Yakuza. It's like, okay, this guy is part of a gang. Yeah, there's all those mini games. They're all making goofy and fun, but it's kind of like, oh, honor, strict, serious, and then there's like the goofy, fun side to it as well. So not.
And they want tough guy bullies like Bulk and Skull from the original Power Rangers were tough guy bullies.
Oh god.
Where they're not bullies at all. They're just complete inept losers who think they're bullies. That's what they want the bullies to look like.
All right.
That those characters are what real bullies bully.
Yes, exactly. Arguably, the Power Rangers within that series are more bullies than Bulk and Skull are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Idea. I mean, nobody wants that. People want games as they were meant to be. They don't want content removed. They don't want things changed or altered. They want things to be the way it's supposed to be. It should be exactly the way the creator intended it, because the creator's image should not be censored or altered. It should be exactly as they wanted it to be. And when you look at these...
Yeah, they have no respect. These people, these fake translators, have no respect for the original work, for the original creation, the original creators. But then they complain and whine when their bullshit that they made is criticized and even disregarded.
Yep.
Because their creation is paramount. Their creation trumps everything. This is their megalomania.
Yeah, this would not be tolerated.
These people are insane, and they need to be kept out of every profession. You do not want anyone like this in your company. Whatever your company is, whatever positions you have in your company, you do not want someone with that mindset in your company.
Yeah, you couldn't imagine a philosopher, I don't know, someone in political science, whatever, being translated from German or French to English and getting bizarre takes that, oh, we need to, localize it for the current year. Like, what? No, I want frickin' Kant. I want the right way he said things, because he's so damn elegant and eloquent with his words. You can't possibly figure out what the hell he's saying unless it's literal. So you have to
imagine localizing the American Constitution or localizing Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. Yeah, good luck.
Well, that is done. That is being done. Shakespeare's works have been translated.
Yes.
In well forms.
Not in modern speak.
Yeah, but just like you have an English version of Goethe's Faust, which is probably extremely hard to do because that is a 200-page long poem, and what was I gonna say? All right, there are other things like that these bloody assholes are even doing within German literature, where I think it was a work from Bertolt Brecht about Nathan the Wise. It's called. Maybe you've heard of it. It plays in was it 2,000 years ago, or well, not 2,000, 1,000 years ago maybe. I don't have the years in my head. Around First, Second Crusade, in where the Christians are in Jerusalem, and the main protagonist Nathan is he's a Jew. He's the guy who is the middleman between settling arguments between people. So it's a bit of a family drama. It's a bit of a love story within the family with one of the Crusaders, and like it's been written last century, and it's a really good story. And just a couple years ago, and then Nathan the Wise has been on the curriculum in Germany as well, which is one of the better choices. And then a couple of years ago, some woman came up and thought she'd make a modern interpretation of Nathan the Wise, where it still plays in the same time period of the Crusade, but she changed the language to a more modern version. So she made out of a literary work from last century a hey fellow kids meme. And now that is on the curriculum instead of the actual literary work. There's no this garbage. It's like if you've ever, when you've been in school and you've ever been taken to theater by your teachers into some modern interpretation of something, it's just atrocious. It's always atrocious. They do this not just with translations. They do it within our own literature of our own cultures. It is absolutely depraved and disgusting.
I've seen...
But they get awards for it!
Now, I've seen some pretty bad stuff, like Romeo and Juliet turned into a modern love story where it's full of leet speak and they're texting each other and stuff. It's fucking cringe as hell.
But I mean, that's cringe. That's not like taking Romeo and Juliet, like the original story, and just putting in modern lingo. That's an adaptation. That's different from.
The next thing I was gonna say was that I've never seen them do something that blatant.
All right, we got less than a minute and a half left. We're almost done. And it's been a good video so far. I like this guy. He's pretty cool.
Western localizers, what's their job? Their job is to translate the script as faithfully as possible, not inject their agendas and narratives into it, or censor or remove things. Like, that's not their job. It's to keep it as faithful as possible. I mean, how hard is it to do your damn job? I mean, for real. Like, if I saw that going on, I'd fire him if it was me. And I'd be like, okay, let's get in people that are actually going to keep it as faithful as possible. But this is why I'm glad that they decided to keep a literal translation option. Because, by going by literal or new translation, you can pick which one you want to go with. I do like that, and it's good that gamers get another choice. And I just love seeing these Western localizers just screeching over this, because it's absolutely hilarious to see them upset over this. And it's good to see gamers get more options. But anyways, let me know what you think about this entire situation.
Alright.
Subscribe to the channel if you were new here, and make sure you're still subscribed, because
I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was just in short.
Cool.
Yeah, it would definitely be nice if the fallout of this was that the people complaining didn't get jobs anymore in the industry. Because it'd be really nice if they weren't there.
I like the one on the right. Here we go again. Salty Cloud attacks Pyra, saying she looks like a minor. How big need the tits to be until you stop thinking these girls are minors?
Wait, what?
But Whisp, she's child coded.
Fuck no.
What with E-cups? What is wrong with these fucking idiots?
All right.
Wisp, her head is big and her face is small. That means she's a child.
Anyway,
That's a little something called art style.
let's.
Wisp, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 got announced, and they're like, "Oh, thank goodness they got rid of that porn artist from from 2."
Oh fuck that!
It's the third. It's the same artist. He's just drawing the characters in a different art style.
Yeah, different art.
personally
Yeah, idiots.
don't
These people just hate big tits because they're jealous of femininity.
Exactly.
So
That's all it is. That's all it is, and we need to throw them out of the fucking of all these fucking media that we love.
Right.
All of these hobbies.
They're either jealous or virgins.
All right. Well, we are now into stream memes. I think we're done with today.
Disgusting.
This is from Geo. Thanks for the great subtitle job this anime has produced, as always.
It was when I was like, oh wait, I was trying to find it. And I meant to say something to Wisp when he was saying how knowing how to make a proper subtitle, and the person obviously who was subtitling this knew exactly what the viewer wanted to see.
Yes. There you go. Kyle, thank you. You don't have to follow orders when your leader's acting like a daft cunt. All right. Alexander Anderson, he said that? Wow, what a guy. What a holy man. Outside of the murder and rage, but yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. Speaking of games being ruined by the West.
And then it says Helsing Abridged, Team 4-star underneath that.
Yeah. Please choose a
Team
body
Team
type.
4-star been doing it.
Type A or Type B. What the hell is a Type A or Type B body type?
Male,
Male or
female.
female.
Is this really in the game?
Yes,
Is
this
this really
really
in the game?
character creator. Yes.
Whoever made that decision needs to be shot.
Oh.
I'm probably gonna guess that it was the localizers because I doubt FromSoft would do it.
No, but it's Bandai. It's Bandai Namco. It's the translators from them that do it.
Type
this
A.
is Elden Ring, isn't it?
Yes, this is an Elden Ring. Trust me, I can tell you, this is Elden Ring.
Of course, it's Elden Ring.
Which is
The
funny
game-
because
You're
being
not
a
paying
male or
attention.
female doesn't matter when you're in the exact same armor set in 90% of the game.
Bluepoint did this in the Demon Souls remake as well.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's Sony pushing that.
Yeah, because Sony has been completely taken over by the socialists.
Well, yes,
Because
because
they moved
Sony.
to California.
And
That's the worst decision they ever made.
they moved to America.
This feels
But, my question is, how did Bandai get infiltrated by them?
Well,
Bandai just wants money.
this implies they're going to have
That's
another.
They're
They're going to have
This.
another model, like a Type C or Type D. They're just going to have all these options for customization at the start.
Type
Well,
D
'cause
has
then, like-
the Type D would have actual boobs.
Maybe you're a ghost or something. I don't know.
Because what's hilarious is then the rest of the character creator is all sliders.
Yeah, if I
So
recall
it's on
correctly, if they still have the same customization as Dark Souls 3, they have pretty in-depth body customization too.
Yeah. Yes. Like personally, in Souls games, I never bother with it because again, you're in armor, full body armor, 90% of the time, so it doesn't really matter what your character looks like.
Yeah, honestly,
the body.
if the only picture available here was the one on the left, it's chosen here, and we didn't have the warrior and hero thing, I wouldn't know that this is male and female.
It depends on your build. I mean, if you're a tank, yeah, you're going to be in armor, but if you're like a rogue or something, you'll be wearing more like leather jackets and stuff like that.
All right, here is a video from the French version of the Fist of the North Star from Mark. Thanks, Mark, wherever you are. Here we go.
Je vais te tailler la tête en rondelles comme un salami. J'ai ça. Alors, qu'est-ce qui arrive? Tu voulais me montrer ta botte secrète, idiot. Et maintenant tu parles de salami. Allez, approche. Je vais en connaître une autre. Regarde. Idéal contre les raches de dents.
Wow. What was... That was...
That was different.
Well, it definitely feels as over the top as Fist of the North Star is supposed to be.
Yeah, French. I don't know if that worked very well for me. I was
Okay.
Salami, and what the hell's going on? Fromage. Okay. Anyway. The classic meme everyone loves. Everyone I don't like is Hitler. Oh, isn't that great? And Hitler's on a magical sled of some kind.
Magic carpet ride.
Yeah, Child's Guide to Online Political Discussion. There you go. That's pretty much how it goes. Yeah.
Godwin's law violation. Too many Hitlers on the field.
All right, here's more from Mateus. No, you should always use my translation, not the machine one. Yes, I can. What?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay. The money is always right.
Too bad the ones with the money are the normies.
More of these companies should think like Mr. Krabs, which is a horrible thing to say. If we're at that point, something is really broken.
Oh, what a
Too many companies think Twitter means money.
What a strange meme. The Westerner design that fixed it, and the original Japanese design.
Yeah, but that's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it goes.
There's not enough skin disease and freckles on the one on the left.
All right, so here we have, I'm not sure what this is. I'm tired of your arrogance, PlayStation. You're going down. Standing Halo. Okay.
That's Xbox.
So
then PlayStation is the one below it.
This is
they're
JoJo.
Squaring off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they're squaring off, and then a third.
And then Nintendo.
But you will lose. And then we have God of War stand, and then we have Bloodborne. Okay. Fair enough.
The Hunter.
Then we have, why are you two fighting? There's a room enough for all of us. Damn it, it's her Nintendo Switch.
Super Smash Brothers.
And here we have, let's play games together. And there's Super Mario, Pokemon, and Legend of Zelda. Yeah.
Among many others.
Yeah. And it's a little girl. It's also in the Neptunia games, the reference, the metaphor for the Nintendo fig is also a little girl that is under the... Yeah. Because it's all for children. And she's jealous of the others.
Well, it's less that it's for children, it's just that Nintendo knows families are going to want to play our games. And if we make games that the entire family can play, not just, adults or kids, we'll make more money that way.
Yeah. They just need to stay on the course that they don't let the politics into the games. And they are openly against politics in their games, but the socialists are very, very sneaky about getting their politics in.
Well,
that's
Nintendo,
the dangerous part.
The good thing is Nintendo of America is not the one in charge. It's Nintendo of Japan is in charge of Nintendo of America. So they're not...
Nintendo of America, fuck up Xenoblade Chronicles X.
A few years ago, there was this thing where they the Nintendo of America translators who would have been translating things afterwards are working with the original writers now. So now we don't know what they're putting in.
Now it's a coin flip.
Anything I am skeptical of anything Nintendo of America does.
Well, that was
but again, Nintendo Japan is the one in charge, and they don't give a flying fuck.
Well, that was a meme from Blue Bolt. Thank you very much, sir. That was fantastic. Good stuff. Told a little story there. Good artwork, and I had a good chuckle. So thank you so much for the memes. That was okay. I didn't mind doing a Bounding into Comics post as well as a video which sort of covered the Bounding into Comics post with other posts. So cool. Interesting. Didn't mind it. Only took 2 hours. Not bad. Doing okay for Monday for Weeb Day, if you want to call it that. Thanks, guys. That was fun. Thanks, guys, for popping in. Lots of good discussions going around. As gamers and as fans of this stuff, we don't really care. We just want quality products. We don't care who does it, how you do it. That's it. Keep your desires and interests out of your job. Do your job. Do it well. Get out. Say you're a professional, and that's it. Don't gloat about it. Just do it. That's all we want.
Yeah, I'm going to give credit where it's due.
Sure.
I know Patrick Sates is one of these Twitter heads, but from what I've seen, when he directs a dub, he does a good job on it, and he doesn't insert bullshit.
Yeah, because he can separate. There's a difference between you can say what you want, outside of your work, that's fine.
Right.
But when you're, doing your job, do your job. Shut up and don't. Like, Mythbusters, for example, like, Adam Savage, unfortunately, he's very political.
Yeah.
And I ignore all that crap.
Yeah.
Or as you should.
Yeah, because
yes.
Once you meet your heroes, they disappoint you. Like with Steve Blum, who blocked me on Twitter. As much as I love as much as I love his dub of Cowboy Bebop, he has one of the worst cases of Trump derangement syndrome I've ever seen, outside of like Stephen King or other guys named Stephen. So it's just bizarre that these guys cannot shut up. Even today, they will not shut up about Trump because he was somehow Putin's puppet or something. I'm like, what the? How can you turn everything?
Says the guy that ironically enough voiced the Greek god of war like 16 years ago.
Oh really?
Yeah, in the original God of War.
Oh boy.
He was Ares.
Oh, cool. Anyways,
guys, I've been replaying the Metro series, and especially in Metro 2033. Steve Bloom is everywhere in that game. He's like every other Russian dude in the game. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Really?
It's fun. Yeah, but they get their money's worth out of these actors and they do a good job, so why not give them credit where it's due? But
no, it's just funny because it's another case where you'll be hearing him echoing two different lines
talking to himself
on two different sides of the room.
Yeah.
Just because they just didn't have the budget to hire more people, so it's just another one of those.
Yeah,
but of course he's doing a Russian. He's just doing a Russian dude, so it's the same voice coming from two sides saying two separate things.
Yeah, there's only one time in Mass Effect 2 where that happens with Mark Meer, and
was
Biotic God.
Doom 3 first came out.
Who that? That's Mel Shepard.
Everyone in that game was being played by. Why am I blanking on his name? Steve Blum.
Yeah.
Everyone in that game was Steve Blum. Turned the corner, there was a Marine, and he was probably played by Steve Blum. Yeah. The commander of the Marines was Steve Blum. The evil doctor, I think, was Steve Blum.
In Mass Effect?
No, Doom 3.
Oh, Doom 3.
Well,
everyone in that game is Steve Blum.
Steve Blum was what's his name in Mass Effect 2? He was.
I know he was. I know he's Grunt. Yeah, I know he's Grunt in 2 and 3.
In a really funny way to see Steve Blum's range is just to go in the third Digimon season. He's both Guilmon and Impmon at the same time. He voices both of them.
No, he's not. No, he's not Impmon.
Yes, he is.
Is it?
Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is. He's also Guilmon.
No, he's Guilmon. No, I know he's Guilmon. I know he's not Impmon. I know for a fact he's not Impmon because when he goes up to Beelzebub, that is not Steve Bloom.
I mean, you wouldn't say that Guilmon is Steve Bloom either, but
no. I know Impmon is voiced by the same guy that does Vexen in Kingdom Hearts.
Anyway,
I know that much.
I must be mistaken then. I could have sworn.
Another way to tell Steve.
I played too many games. Everyone's played Kingdom Hearts at some point.
Is that he played he played Liron in Gurren Lagann.
Figures.
I'm trying to remember who that was. Anyway, guys, don't worry.
He's the gay guy with green hair.
Oh, wonderful. Anyway. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to go now. Thank you. Keep the suggestions coming. This was fun. Keep voting on them because that's how we do these things and making sure we have people interested. So thank you. Have yourself a great evening. Bye-bye.